Whenever a set comes along which puts the color pie up front, you know I'm excited to talk about it. The last time we had a set like that would be all the way back in Strixhaven, but now finally we're here, settling into New Capenna and discovering how we can look at shards in ways we haven't before. I know this set has had a mixed reception due to its themes and how it fits into the greater multiverse, but on its own, I find New Capenna to be a feat of great world building. But I don't think that matters. If you love the color pie, if you love magic, if you love world building, then I think you're gonna actually really enjoy New Capenna. So I want to get right into discussing this, but before we do, I just want to say thank you to my patrons for their support. It truly means a lot that you guys support me on that level. With that said, grab a glass of Halo, swear allegiance to your favorite family, and let us begin our discussion on the families of New Capenna. The Obscura are the blue-centered faction of this plane, and of the shard Esper. In the days of old, they were wizards, and this skill has persisted into the modern faction that they are now. They use their talents in fortune-telling, prophecy, and esoteric communication to gain an upper hand in their family's dealings. They trade in secrets and utilize deception for their own gain, and it's said they can make or break a person's future. Just to even be admitted into the organization, one must prove their ability to gather information, as we see on the card, Obscura Initiate, which reads, Obscura Initiates are required to bring a gift of information. They are judged on both how useful it is and how hard it was to obtain. Control is a common theme for Esper. Being a blue-focused shard, it's no surprise that the Obscura deal in information and control as the key to unlock their mission, as blue utilizes manipulation, scrying, and magic to often further its own ends. This strategy all comes together with the colors which are bridged by blue. Its neighbor white has a focus on society and will push it in the direction it deems fit. And black holds a desire for power, which it enacts with whatever tools it has at its disposal. Because of this, the Obscura work behind the scenes to make things happen, and utilize blackmail and coercion as the tools of their trade. I mean, what else are you going to do with all of that information you have on everyone? This sentiment is best explained from the mouth of the character Kamiz on the card Deal Gone Bad. Feed the rumor mills with delicious treachery. Bad blood between those two is a good deal for us. In a lot of ways, the Obscura see themselves above the other families of New Capenna, and the ones who are truly in control. The Maestros are the Grixis crime family of New Capenna, with their bridge beaten black. On the outside, the Maestros hold on to an air of elegance. They are patrons of the art and culture, and yet underneath, they're killers. Their path to power is a straightforward one, and in turn is a path coated in blood. With two crossed daggers as their crest, it might not be as hidden as they pretend it to be. Many of their rank are vampires, which is a great pairing with this family's concept, as vampires often portray the trope of elegance married to death. On gleaming stages and backlit alleys, their work is never done. As I said, the Maestro's bridge or core color is black, and because of this, their ambitions and self-satisfaction often take center stage. While the Obscura work behind the scenes with grand plans, this just isn't the case when you have a faction with black at its center. Often black will take the straightest path forward to their goals, and this means offing those that get in the way. Something this family isn't shy of, as we see on the card Maestro's Initiate, which reads, How far are you willing to go for your family, Clean Blade? That last phrase, Clean Blade, lets us know it's expected of you to kill for the family. It's just that your blade has not yet been stained by blood. The other colors present are blue and red, and while blue isn't felt very strongly here, it does add a coldness when applied to black, turning black into something of a sociopath who only sees their intentions, never letting emotions get in the way. You may ask, well, isn't red the color of emotion? What does this mean to have that color present with what you've said? Well, in the case when empathy is so overpowered by both blue and black, red switches from emotion and more into self-satisfaction, self-expression, and just the simple joy and pleasure that life brings. I want to end our discussion with the flavor text from Camilla Glamour Thief. She sees the world as a gift meant for her. A simple line, but one that could be said about each member of this family. The Riveters are the beating heart of New Capenna and of the combination Jund with a center or bridge of red. They are known for building up just as much as they are for breaking down, and in many ways disregard the lavish city life that the other families engross themselves in. They're simple folk of industry and remind me very much of the old dockside crews or unions of times past. With red at their core, they don't aim to control, corrupt, or manipulate. Instead, they like to put in a hard day's work during the day, and at night blow off some steam through sanctioned brawls. Many of the other factions know it's not worth getting on the bad side of the Riveters, because not only are they willing to stand up and fight, they're also more than willing to tear down any building that doesn't suit them. They believe themselves to have the right to shape New Capenna, and while most of their influence lies in the lower levels, steel hammers can be heard across the city, making and unmaking as they please. As told to us on the card Crew Captain, which reads, "The Riveters are as good at raising buildings as they are at raising them." Jund is a combination of natural selection, of independence, and understanding of its place as an individual while respecting the power of community. Each person has a deep sense of purpose because of green. This is reflected in how they view themselves in relation to the city and the mark they have laid upon it. Their black side provides their sense of independence from the rest of the families. Finally, we have red, which is the driver in how they approach life. They are passionate, loyal, and most of all, they just like to have fun. They are very much driven by their red side and would be much less complex without the addition of its allies. For the Riveters, I want to end on this quote, as I think it holds a deeper meaning for me and for this family. Just look to the card Riveters Overlook to see what I mean. Along the outer girders in gold filigree are inscribed the names of all those who fell to their death during construction. Welcome to the party. The Cabaret asks that you grab a glass of Halo and join in on the fun. As the Naya faction of New Capenna, they surely bring a unique twist to this shard. The Cabaret are a font of culture and of influence, and if you want to make it in this city, you best show up press. They are a family who dictate style, pop culture, and trends. Of course, there's always more going on under the surface. No family simply does things for the good of the city. There is always something in it for the Cabaret, and their parties are more than a service for New Capenna. Because it's in places like these with the music loud and the drink flowing where the real power moves happen. Naya may seem like an odd pairing for the Cabaret. I know it took me a little bit of time to actually get to terms with this idea, but upon inspecting the colors and discussing with members of my Discord, I think I came to a satisfying conclusion. Green is at the core of the Cabaret and of this version of Naya, and right there you may feel at odds with this idea right away. But let me explain. On New Capenna, culture is more than a word. It seeps from every pore of the city, every aspect of it, and every family within embodies the city life, and the Cabaret exemplify it to an extreme. In a lot of ways, the Cabaret is New Capenna in its purest form. Thus, green works very well as a core with this context in mind. What's more is that if we frame it this way, the other colors also fall into place. White is the influence over society through the use of culture, and red is the expression of this culture. With this in mind, I can actually understand why the Magic team placed the Cabaret as the Naya faction. This all culminates into a family which utilizes culture and influence to dictate much of New Capenna, and in that way they have a hand in everything. They can dictate who is in, who is out, what business thrives, and which ones fail. In our discussion on the Cabaret, I want to leave you with the flavor text from For the Family, which reads, "The Cabaret cultivate an image of harmless hedonism, happy for the other families to underestimate their formidable power." The brokers are the closest thing to law and order there is in this city of crime and quick profits. As the Bant family of the plane with a center on white, it's no surprise. The brokers deal in arbitration and protection, but they don't do it for the money. No, they do it for something far more valuable: favors. If they stick their neck out for you, which they often do without asking, then you will owe them down the road. In most cases, you don't really have a choice. When faced with a decision to lose your teeth or your business, you'll often take all the help you can get. Just don't forget your debt's owed. The best comparison you can make for this family is a group of lawyers and cops who abide by the rules set out by their leader, the almost obsessive Falco Spara, a demon Aven who spends most of their time writing and reading contracts which hold some semblance of order between the families. As without the brokers, the city would quickly descend into gang warfare. With their core or bridge color being white, this outlook and action does make a lot of sense. Of course, white is the color of law, and while strict law isn't present on New Capenna in the traditional sense, it does take the form of a new kind of crook: the lawyer. Okay, all jokes aside, order is the primary weight that pushes the brokers along, and it's the side of white which shines through here. It's just that it takes a form of self-serving arbitration on the behalf of others in the hope that New Capenna may thrive. White's ideals are pushed along by its allies. For instance, blue turns this ideal into a unique style of magic, which is called contract magic. It's also the mechanism in which the esoteric legal theory of the family is bred. And then on the other side, we have green, and its ideas of collectivism, tradition, and purpose, which are all too present in the brokers. New Capenna is a place of new ideas, and yet the ties to what the city once were can be felt all throughout each of the families, honestly, but strongest I feel in the brokers. "We either thrive as a unit or fall together" is a quote we often hear when we're talking about the combination of green and white, and I feel like that works here really well with the brokers. I want to leave you with this quote from Broker's Ascendancy, which reads, "This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and more importantly, profitable one. Now, sign here." You know what, I'm going to go ahead and say it. New Capenna is an exciting setting for me, and honestly, if you love the color pie, you should be excited by it as well. The magic of the color pie is that it's a way of the plane building itself. They decided on what themes they wanted to be present in the city, and then the combinations came in. And the combinations dictated how they would behave on that plane. And thus, the plane built itself. And in a lot of ways, that's what's exciting about the color pie. It shows that it's a living, breathing thing, with a mind of its own. We must just instead imprint some small ideas onto it, watch how it acts. And in that way, New Capenna is amazing. You may not agree about its fit into the Magic multiverse as a whole, and you know what, in many ways I do agree with you. But you have to admit that New Capenna is an amazing way to look at the color pie. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then be sure to give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more content like this. Also, YouTube added a new feature called the Thanks. You'll be able to check that out. It's right by the share button. That said, if you want to continue this conversation and you enjoy just talking about Magic the Gathering, then join my Discord. It's free and open to everyone. There you'll find a lot of people who just love to talk Magic, the color pie, and everything else nerdy there is. With that, friends, I will catch you in the multiverse. Bye.